Hey yo, so this is gonna be a video on like are your genetics important? Because there is like just some type of a misconception, right, that some people are just naturally born gifted with specific abilities and qualities, right? Some people just have good attractive voices. I don't know, they just sing very well because they're born with like the right genetics to sing well and stuff, and they have their voices sounds beautiful because they have the right genetics to sing properly. And or some people are just born naturally smart and intelligent and with like high intelligence. Like this topic is so important. Like are your genetics important? This topic, that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, because it does seem like oh, you just have to like be gifted at birth, sort of. You just have to be dealt the right genetics at your birth to be like good at something, like to be good at singing. Or like Albert Einstein, if you want to be super smart, you have to like have the right genetics to be intelligent and stuff like that. You have to, it's all to do with your genetics. You can only do so much to like improve yourself in this type of regard, and in regards to like your abilities and qualities. You can only do so much to improve yourself. Really, your genetics are kind of like the baseline, and you can't really move that out of the way. I don't know. Obviously, when I say are your genetics important, to some extent, obviously your genetics are important. Obviously, it's kind of a dumbass question, because you know if your genetics were such that you had Down syndrome or something, or some severe like health problem because of some genetic issues, obviously you can see that'll be very catastrophic for your life. You can see that, yeah, your genetics important? Obviously, 100%. I'm talking about like in more of the sense that like your qualities and attributes, can you improve on these? Like, is everything your genetics? Can you, like, let's say you want to be a singer, can you actually improve your singing ability through various different tutorials and exercises, make your voice sound more attractive through exercises and stuff like that? I believe, within reason obviously, but I believe that obviously your genetics, they do create like a baseline and stuff like that, like how tall you are, how your voice sounds like and stuff like this. All of this stuff, all these types of things, your genetics, they do create like a baseline, obviously. But still, there's some room for improvement, I believe, because exercising and bodybuilding, that's like the perfect type of analogy to use. Like, all of us can theoretically build a lot of muscle, obviously, depending on like who you are. Obviously, you might have some weird genetic health problem, and as such that your genetics are just, they're keeping you back, they're holding you back and stuff, and your muscles are all like, they'll never become super strong, and you'll never become super strong or muscular because you have some type of genetic health problem, obviously. But these types of genetic health problems are very rare. A lot of us are just average guys, and theoretically, a lot of us can just like put in a lot of work and go to like the gym and stuff and build like a lot of muscle. So in that regard, I believe that like exercise and bodybuilding, that's a perfect analogy. Because first of all, like, your genetics, they give you a baseline, obviously, and obviously depending on like, assuming you don't have like some severe genetic health problems, like you're born with Down syndrome, or you're mentally retarded or something, I don't know. Assuming that isn't the case, assuming your genetics are sort of like baseline, they're like average, like you're similar to most people and stuff. That's because a lot of us are just average. We don't have, there's nothing holding us back. We're sort of just average. I don't get why all these people get into the black pill and my life is over because I don't have like the perfect genetics. I'm not a Chad. You don't need to be a Chad. You don't need to have like the perfect genetics. Being average, having like a decent baseline is okay and stuff, and then you can improve yourself through like the various different means, obviously. So are your genetics important? Obviously, within reason. Obviously, if you have Down syndrome, that's going to be tragic. If you have other types of genetic health problems, that's going to be very tragic, but within reason, obviously. But I believe that, are your genetics important? To some extent they are, but I believe that they don't determine everything. I believe that you can still improve yourself. Like, look at bodybuilding is like sort of the perfect analogy. Bodybuilding must be, because like all of us, like average guys, obviously if you have some type of genetic health problem, and because of that your genetics, you'll never build like a muscular physique. Fair enough, if you have some type of genetic health problem, but that's gonna be very rare. But the majority of men, if they start lifting weights and stuff like that and exercising and whatever, if they start lifting weights, exercising, and whatever, they're going to start to pack on a lot of muscle and stuff. The majority of men, if they start lifting weights and exercising and whatever, they're going to like pack on muscle. That's just how it is. That's the perfect analogy. bodybuilding. Obviously, some guys have genetic health problems, and okay, fair enough, and they cannot they cannot pack on muscle, even if they put in a lot of work in the gym and stuff. They cannot build muscle because they have this genetic health problem, and their muscles can't develop properly. Okay, fair enough, but most guys can develop, like they can build muscle and stuff. A lot of us can build muscle. Average guys. That's the thing. Our genetics aren't that important. Our genetics are not that super important. Our genetics aren't that important. Obviously, to some extent, they are. Obviously, within reason. Obviously, because your genetics. If you were born with Down syndrome, okay, that's going to hold you back in a lot of different ways. But a lot of us, guys, like our genetics aren't the problem. That's so true. That's like eye-opening once you realize that it's not. That there like your problems, they are in your control to some degree and to some extent, obviously assuming we have free will, obviously, and that's a very philosophical topic and subject that I don't want to get into right now. But a lot of our problems are in our control. If you get what I'm trying to say. Are your genetics important? Obviously, to some extent they are. Obviously, if you were born with Down syndrome and stuff, you can see that that's going to be catastrophic, obviously. But like a lot of us aren't born with Down syndrome, so a lot of us are just we get dealt with like with a decent genetic, and a lot of us don't really count our own blessings because a lot of us aren't critically disabled and stuff. So in my opinion, are your genetics important? For the majority of us men, no. If you want to like become a good singer, I believe that you can train your voice the same way you can build. Like if you want to become a bodybuilder, you can build, like go into the gym and train very hard and build up your muscles. Although any guy, assuming you don't have some weird genetic health problem, and you're okay, fair enough, and your muscles you can't develop them because you have some weird genetic health problem. Okay, but a lot of us don't have this type of issue and stuff. A lot of us, we are capable of developing our muscles and stuff, and growing our muscles and making ourselves look more stronger and stuff, and physically and more intimidating and stuff through bodybuilding and exercising. So you can see bodybuilding actually is the perfect analogy. Even if you're okay, fair enough, you might be born skinny as shit, but as long as you do have some weird genetic health problem where your muscles can't develop and grow, as long as you don't have some type of weird genetic health problem, it is theoretically impossible that your genetics, like even if they're very average, you will like develop your muscles if you went to the gym and train very hard every day. Bodybuilding so perfect. Don't just cop out. It's like such a stupid type of excuse. I can't. It's pointless to try anyway because I don't have the genetics. It's sort of like this type of excuse. Well, what's the point? Because it's like because genetics kind of determine a lot and stuff. And some people are just born naturally gifted. I just don't have their natural abilities and qualities. But you can, like, again, bodybuilding. Most men are like average. Okay, as long as you don't have like some major genetic health problem. Obviously, fair enough. If you do, and you do have like, then you have like a proper reason to be angry and hateful towards the world. But a lot of us, we don't have any major genetic health problems. We're just typical guys and girls and stuff. And we're born very average and stuff. We don't. That's kind of the thing. A lot of us, we don't have any major genetic health problems. We're just born average. Is there something wrong with being born average? I don't know. A lot of us are just born average. A lot of us don't suffer from any major genetic health problems. And so, okay, so why are you telling me this? Because it's very important. You need to understand that you do have some control over your life and stuff. You can change your life around, turn your life around and stuff. You can improve yourself. Even if you think that your genetics are holding you back, don't be dumb. You can push yourself a little bit and train yourself a little bit more, and you'll see some type of results from that. Bodybuilding's so perfect. All of us, a lot of us, like, I believe the human being, a lot of us men, we're just naturally, I feel like obviously we all have different genetics and stuff like that, and we have different qualities and features, but I believe a lot of us are just a lot of men are born skinny and shit, but some of us, we go to the gym and we start with lifting weights and we develop our muscles. I believe like all men have like the potential to develop their muscles. And bodybuilding is such a perfect analogy because, your genetics, there is like a baseline that you can improve. You can develop and grow your muscles through exercising. Even if your baseline means that you're skinny, you're going to be a skinny shit, you can still improve yourself by lifting weights and stuff like that. So important to understand is that even if you have like a baseline, your genetics, there's like this baseline and stuff. You believe that your genetics are holding you back, you can still kind of go against your baseline and stuff like that. You can go against your baseline and you can kind of like improve yourself and stuff like that. You can kind of improve yourself You can improve yourself. You can go against your baseline, improve yourself, and push yourself, and you will get the results of your hard work, etc. and stuff. Very important to know about this, right? You know, obviously there's a baseline. Your genetics, they do determine a lot. Your genetics are important. No, I'm not going to say that your genetics are completely irrelevant to your potential as a man, as a human being. Your genetics, like in terms of your qualities and features, your genetics aren't important in that regard. Obviously they are. Obviously your genetics are a very important contributing factor and stuff like that. But still, you can maneuver your genetics around. You like look at bodybuilders before and after they start to like lift heavy weights. They were like a lot of like Arnold and all these guys. They were pretty skinny when they started lifting weights, and then their muscles developed. See, so even if there's this baseline, even if there's like this baseline, even if you're like born skinny and you have like weak arms and muscles and legs and stuff like that, you can still like push yourself and improve. Arnold, like he was like a skinny shit when he was born, and then he pushed himself and his muscles started to grow and develop. Not as Arnold's Sylvester Stallone Rocky guy. Watch the Rocky movie. I don't know if you want some motivation for bodybuilding, exercising. I keep talking about bodybuilding in this video because it's so important to know that even if like your genetics, there is like a baseline, because a lot of us men were born skinny. Obviously there's some anomalies and stuff and some exceptions, and we're not all the same, but I believe that all of us men, we were born like skinny, but then some of us, we go to the gym and we start to pack on muscle. I believe all men have the ability to pack on muscle, and through exercise and training, even regardless of like what genetics they're born with. So, you know, are your genetics important? I'm not going to be a dumbass and say no, your genetics are irrelevant. It's all just about hard work. I'm not going to be a dumbass because your genetics determine whether or not you're born with Down syndrome. Because if you're born with Down syndrome, that's a tragedy, and you can't really improve on that. Even if you go to the gym, you're not going to get rid of Down syndrome, the Down syndrome problem you might be suffering from. Are your genetics important? I'm not going to be a dumbass and say, no. Your genetics are not important. You can just put in a lot of hard work and you'll improve yourself and you'll get what you want. Your genetics, they determine your baseline. I'm not going to be a dumbass until you don't, or your genetics are completely irrelevant. I'm not going to be a dumbass. But the thing is, a lot of us, we don't have like very horrible, shitty genetics. A lot of us don't have any major genetic health problems. A lot of us aren't critically disabled. So a lot of us don't really have any type of real excuse to I can't be a great musician because I have like, I don't have like a naturally attractive voice. I don't have the right genetics to sing properly. This is bullshit. Like, because all of us human beings, a lot of us are just, we're average. We have like an average baseline and stuff, and with enough hard work, a lot of us can become something great with enough hard work. That's this type of excuse is just like, I don't have the right genetics. It's like a cop-out excuse, because a lot of us, as long as you're not born critically disabled, you do have some type of potential. You can put in the work and see something happen in your life that's very special. But you're going to just use this type of cop-out excuse, my genetics. Okay, fair enough. If you're critically disabled, fair enough. If you're critically disabled, fair enough, I'll grant you that type of excuse if you have some major genetic health problems and you're critically disabled. But if you're average and you're saying, my genetics, if you can like breathe and talk and move your eyes and see and hear and stuff, and you can run around properly, you like this type of excuse, I don't have the right genetics, it's just a stupid cop-out excuse. You have to like think of it inside of your head, like as long as I put in the hard work, I can accomplish anything. As long as I put in enough hard work and within reason. Obviously, don't be a dumbass and give yourself like impossible tasks, like impossible goals. Like I'm gonna turn into like Superman. I'm gonna jump off a building and start to fly because I believe so. No, obviously, don't be a dumbass. Within reason. With enough hard work, you can get the things you want with enough hard work and the right strategy, because hard work is in everything. Obviously, you can go outside and break rocks with your hands. That's going to be very difficult, but it's not going to mean anything. So you also need to use your intelligence and you pick the right strategy and approach, and hard work is going to contribute as well in this regard. Come on, a lot of us, we're average Joes and small schmoes and stuff like that. We're not critically disabled. If you have some major genetic health problems and you're critically disabled, then okay, fair enough, I'll grant you the excuse that okay, your genetics are holding you back, and you get that type of excuse. But if you don't have any major genetic health problems, then you could run around and you can do all these different types of things, and you can read books, and your eyes work, and your ears work, and your nose works, all your organs work, and you can function like a regular human being. Why are you gonna be like using this type of dumbass cop-out excuse? My genetics are holding me back. They're not. Within reason, obviously, don't be a dumbass. Don't give yourself like impossible goals and tasks. Like, I'm gonna turn into Superman for enough training. Don't be a dumbass. Like, I'm gonna go to the top of the building and I'm gonna jump off and fly around the world. And don't be a dumbass. within reason. Don't give yourself impossible goals. Obviously, genetics, you like natural talent. There is such a thing as natural talent. Some people just have like these types of natural abilities. Some people are just naturally good at things just because of how they were born. They have the right muscle tissue structure, or they have the right brain structure. Albert Einstein was super smart. He had the right brain structure, or his nervous system was more like special and stuff. He had more extra nerve endings in his head. I don't know, something like that. Obviously, there is such a thing as natural talent, but like us average guys, you can improve. Bodybuilding is like, it proves all of this. Like, how can a skinny shit turn into someone that's very muscular? That doesn't make any sense, because if your genetics are everything, then like if you're a skinny shit, you should not be able to pack on muscle, but you can do that if you train hard and you eat the right foods. Are your genetics important? Obviously they are, because if you're born with Down syndrome, that's tragic. That's a tragedy if you're born with Down syndrome or some other major genetic health problem. But you know, the thing is, a lot of us aren't born with any major genetic health problems. If you can run around and you can use your eyes and ears and hear and see things, and you can use your mouth and you can talk and communicate and you can function like a regular human being, this type of bullshit excuse that, oh, my genetics are holding me back, don't be a dumbass. Your genetics are not holding you back. Obviously there are like other things that might be holding you back, like you might be in like a bad financial situation, obviously, but then you need to start using your brain and like thinking of the right strategy, like looking for employment and stuff to get out of that bad financial situation or something similar to this. I don't know. As long as you're not, obviously, fair enough. If you have some major genetic health problems, if you suffer from some major genetic health problems, if you suffer from some major genetic health problems, and you're critically disabled and stuff like this, and you can't manage to to get things going in your way because your genetics, they're just holding you back. Fair enough. If you're born with like major genetic health problems, fair enough. But a lot of us are just average. We have like, a lot of us are born with average baselines. We're not critically disabled. A lot of us aren't critically disabled. So it's fucking so dumb and annoying to me to see so many young men and women. They cop out. They have this type of cop out excuse. Oh, I don't have this type of natural talent. I wasn't born with the right genetics, so I can't be a good singer, can't be a good musician, a good actor, because I just don't have that type of natural talent that these other people and celebrities do. Don't be a dumbass. If you're average with enough training and exercise, as long as you're average, obviously, if you're born with Down syndrome, obviously, then fair enough. But and if you have some other type of major genetic health problem, fair enough. Fair enough. If you have some other type of major genetic health problem and you're born with Down syndrome or something similar to this, then fair enough. Okay, but a lot of us are not that critically disabled. Okay, so, and because of that, I believe a lot of us, we have the potential to improve ourselves. Fair enough. If you're born with some critical condition, if you're born with Down syndrome or some other major genetic health problem, fair enough. Then I'll grant you like that type of excuse that, okay, my genetics are actually in the way, and you will get that type of cop-out excuse. Fair enough. I'm not gonna like complain to you about using that excuse. I'm not gonna complain to you. I'm not gonna get angry at you or something like that. Obviously, within reason. Obviously, all things are within reason. Obviously, but your genetics, if you have, you as long as you don't have any of these major genetic health problems, how can you like possibly complain and like use these types of cop-out excuses that, oh, it's my genetics that are holding me back? Are you disabled? Like, if you can use your mouth and talk and see and use your ears and hear and talk, and you can run around and you can function like a regular human being, then really, like, the only thing that's holding you back is your mentality, your mindset, which you need to like kind of fix up on and improve on and stuff. If you're born with like some major genetic health problems, fair enough. But a lot of us are just average guys, and we don't put in enough work, and that's why we don't get the things we want, because we don't put in enough work. You like obviously there's such a thing as natural talent. Like Rihanna, she can sing very well because of how she was born and stuff. But you know, a lot of us, we like singing. Have you ever tried to like actually, okay, can I actually improve my singing voice? Can I actually practice singing songs so I can improve my ability to sing songs and stuff like this? Have you actually been working on that? Have you actually put in work to improve yourself? That's so much more important to me than just believing that, oh, my genetics are holding me back, because that's such a cop-out excuse. As long as, obviously, within reason, if you're born with like some major genetic health problems and you have Down syndrome or something similar, okay, fair enough. I'll grant you that type of excuse that your genetics are actually holding you back. But if you're just average, the only thing that's holding you back is your mindset, mentality, and the fact that you're not putting in enough hard work. and obviously it's not just hard work, but you're not using the right strategy and approach as well. That's also very important. Strategy and approach. The right strategy and approach, that's also very important, not just hard work, because you can go outside, break rocks with your hands, that's very hard, but it's not going to lead to anywhere. You're not going to get anywhere and stuff like that. So that's about it. Yeah, but are your genetics important? As long as you're not suffering from any major genetic health problems like Down syndrome, I don't believe your genetics are really that important. Obviously within reason and stuff like that. Within reason, because if you do have these types of major genetic health problems, then okay, fair enough, I'll grant you that type of excuse. Then fair enough. But if you, like a lot of us, we don't have any type of major genetic health problems. A lot of us are just average guys, and we just don't put in enough hard work, and that's why we don't get the things we want. Obviously, not just hard work, strategy, having the right strategy and approach, that's very important as well. But I'm kind of mumbling and going over the same points. Are your genetics important? Of course they are, because within reason, obviously, because if you're born with Down syndrome, that's going to be very tragic, but like a lot of us don't suffer from any major genetic health problems, so I believe that. Are your genetics important? If you're average, I don't believe your genetics are that important. If you're average, if you're born with if you're average and stuff like that. Like a lot of us human beings we're just average. We just don't put in enough hard work, and that's why we don't get the things we want. That's why we don't accomplish the things that we want to accomplish and stuff like that. Mindset, mentality, and hard work. If you're average, that's all you need to fix up on. That's it. If you're average, you just need to fix up on your mindset, mentality, and you need to put more hard work in, and you get what you want. Obviously, okay, I'm not going to be a dumbass and tell you, are your genetics important? No, they're not. Obviously, I'm not going to say that. Obviously, your genetics are very important. If you're born with Down syndrome, that's going to be tragic. But a lot of us aren't born with Down syndrome. A lot of us are just average, and we just don't put in enough hard work. We don't just fix up on our mindset and mentality, and that's why we don't get the things that we want. Okay, that's about it. Are your genetics important? Of course they are, but if you're average, you can't really complain too much.